What's up, YouTube? So the Fluxgate Magnetometer is a very interesting device, and it's a device for measuring very small static magnetic fields. So how it works is there is a ferrite core in the middle, and this core is wound around with a fairly high number of turns um, and fairly large gauge of wire, and it is fed a square wave. Now, this square wave is a fairly high amount of current, enough to saturate the core, or at least get it close to saturation. So, why that is important and how it uses that to detect the magnetic field is pretty interesting. Because when you saturate a magnetic core, it's like you're removing a magnetic core. It's like um, to electromagnetic field, the core disappears. And if that core is within a magnetic field, so maybe there's a magnetic field going this way through the core, and you remove it, the magnetic flux, instead of going in, being directed through the core, will just simply go around it. It will be gated away from it because it is the permeability of that region of space has decreased because it's being saturated. Now, if you do that with a square wave, you will basically be removing and replacing a magnetic core very quickly because the magnetic field sees it and then it doesn't see it, it sees it and then it doesn't see it. Now, why that's really interesting is because if you wind another coil perpendicular or in any direction around the core, whenever the core saturates and unsaturates, it detects a large change in magnetic field, basically, because your magnetic flux is going into the core, then it's going out of the core, then it's going into the core. But basically what I'm trying to say is that that action of saturating and unsaturating the core with this static magnetic field, the entire system acts like a generator. So this pickup coil will generate an AC waveform out every time the core gets saturated, unsaturated, because the static external magnetic field is being reflected to the core or away from the core. Now, this this device is actually so good at detecting magnetic fields. When they build them, they have to put in a bias coil to counteract the Earth's magnetic field. Otherwise, the Earth's magnetic field will be so large in the detector that it it you know it overwrites all the smaller magnetic fields. So, pretty interesting device. I'm going to be building one in the next couple weeks and hopefully be posting some more videos. But I have some ideas on different ways to use this idea of saturating a core to remove it from the system. I have some ideas of what you can do with this core and a static magnetic field. Say, like, suppose we don't really want to use it as a detector, we just want to put a permanent magnet up here. What happens then? Does our detector now turn into a generator? And can this generator actually generate enough electrical current to overcome the losses of the input coil? And can this device actually generate slightly more output power than you put into it? If it can, Then we've got a stationary electrical generator with no moving parts, and it uses a static magnetic field. Anyway, interesting. But the output power, say like the P out, is probably going to be a lot smaller than the P saturation. But with that in mind, if we were to use this coil as a DC-DC switching power supply, so suppose this is our saturated coil and a switch, and we just turn this into a boost converter, like that, then you can make very efficient boost converters too. Boost converters that are like 98% efficient. That's like not unheard of in the realm of switching power supplies. So if we can make an efficient power supply that has like 10 watts in but only like 9.8 watts out, can this external coil that is generating current from the static magnetic field actually make more than this 0.2 watts? So therefore maybe we can get 10.1 watts out of a device that has 10 watts of input. Now, if you could do this, this would be pretty huge. Because you could do things like this. Say you have one power supply here, you connect it to another one, you have 10.1 watts here, maybe you connect them in a loop. So now you have 10.1 watts in one side, maybe you've got 10.2 watts over here. Now in the second cycle you don't have 10.1 watts, you have 10.3 watts. Is it possible to put them in a loop to generate, large amounts? Like every cycle, they build up power. I don't know. Probably won't work like that. But it's an idea. And it's an interesting idea. So I'll be trying to build something, and be posting the videos to YouTube. So keep an eye out. And if there's any questions, just leave something in the comments and I'll try to answer them. But anyway, that is the Fluxgate Magnetometer, or what I want to build, the Fluxgate Generator. Anyway, that's about all. Thanks.